Well, what's interesting about films is that more often than not, people don't necessarily think of their films as containing things like messages on particular kinds of content, like science or attitudes towards science. A lot of my students, when they first come into the course, they've never really thought about a film as containing anything of kind of signification or something like that. So by taking these films and by looking at the tropes, especially those films that are maybe a decade older, it really helps us see certain aspects of a culture or a society at a given moment that at the time would have been totally transparent. The fish doesn't know that the water is wet, right? But 10 years later, we look at a film like Jurassic Park or 2001: A Space Odyssey or Blade Runner, and all of a sudden there are all these issues concerning technology, gender, that we wouldn't have seen when the films came out. And so the history of the film itself feeds nicely into the history of the ideas also. Because even if someone like Ridley Scott tells you that a film like Alien isn't about anything, we now look back at that film as kind of a keystone in the portrayal of women in science fiction, even though that wasn't his intent at the time. So what's interesting about science fiction is that you can really look at a lot of these moments or motifs of sort of signification, which may be unintentional or intentional on the part of the artist, but still tell you a lot about the way that a time and a place is thinking about science and our relationship to science.